Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week we're making stuffed acorn squash. This is a vegetarian main dish that is also a perfect centerpiece for Thanksgiving. This squash is stuffed with a bunch of fall ingredients like pecans, apple, leeks, kale, and even some sage for a little bit of that warming Thanksgiving feel. We're also using white beans and quinoa so that it's actually a satisfying meal, and it all comes together in a little bit over an hour. The first thing that we want to do is take our squash. So I'm using 2 acorn squashes and I'm going to cut them in half. Make sure your knife is super sharp and cut through the tip first, just about a 1/4 inch. Look how pretty that is. It's like a little flower. And then cut through this end too, so that you can stand on it. You're not standing on it, it's standing on the cutting board. And then we will cut through like this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe rinse it off a little if it touched the ground. And then we'll repeat that with the second one. There you go. And now we got to scrape out the inside. So I'm just using a spoon, and you're just going to scrape those seeds so that all those guts come out. Who wants to hear guts when they're cooking? But that's what it reminds me of. When it's clean, it'll have this nice hollow center. Save the seeds and you can roast them just like you would pumpkin seeds. So now we can put the squash on a baking sheet. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil onto each squash, just a little bit. And this is easiest if you have a pastry brush. You can just brush it all around. And I just brush the inside of the squash because we aren't eating the peel. And this just helps it get nice and golden. Take a little bit of salt and just sprinkle it on each squash. This will draw some of the moisture out, but it's also for flavor. And a few cracks of black pepper. And we'll roast these at 375 degrees Fahrenheit on the middle oven rack. These squash are a little on the smaller side, so they may actually be done in about 40 minutes instead of 50 minutes, but if you have a bigger squash, it could take up to an hour. So just start checking around the 40-minute mark, and you want your squash to be fork tender, so when you put a fork in, it just slides right in, just like a mashed potato. You want it to be super soft. The softer, the better. We have just a few veggies that we need to prep, so we'll start with the leeks. We'll just slice them into little pieces. So you'll see that I'm slicing just the thick white part. This stem I don't slice because it's really hard and it just doesn't taste great. And leeks can be pretty dirty. This one has a fair amount of dirt in it. Always rinse your leeks first. Make sure to peel back the leaves because there can be a lot of dirt hidden in those inner layers. Once we have our leeks, we can just go through and roughly chop them up into more bite-sized pieces. We'll use about 3 leaves, which is about 1 cup of packed kale. Make sure to rinse those first. So the way I'm going to do this is actually just cut off the hardest stem part. I like to cut out the center stem and then cut the leaves in half. Stack it on top of each other and just slice it nice and thin. Next, we'll dice an apple. This adds a sweet pop of flavor that is a nice juxtaposition with the rest of the very savory flavors. Dice these up into little bite-sized pieces. I'm using a sweet red apple. I think this one was a Fuji. That's one of my go-tos. Honeycrisp is also really delicious. We can squeeze it with a little bit of lemon juice. This adds brightness, of course, a bit of zest, but it also keeps the apple from browning prematurely. You know it's gonna taste so good. Like candy. Ooh. Next, we'll roughly chop up 1/2 cup of raw pecans. These add a bunch of hearty, toasty flavor to the filling, but you can also buy pecan pieces that have already been chopped for less prep. Now that we have all of this prepped, we can head on over to the stove and start cooking the quinoa and sauteing the leeks. We'll turn that heat to medium and add in 3/4 cup of quinoa. I recommend rinsing the quinoa first. Toasting the quinoa brings out its naturally nutty flavor, so don't skip this step. We'll toast it for just about 30 seconds. Once you have that toasted, add in 1.5 cups of vegetable broth. I prefer adding broth as opposed to water because it's just another way to add extra flavor. Now we'll bring this up to a boil on high heat, and once it's boiling, we'll reduce it to a simmer over medium to medium-low heat, cover it, and we'll simmer it for about 15 to 20 minutes until it is nice and fluffy. Turn the heat to medium-high. I'll start by adding a drizzle of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Add in the leeks and the kale and a couple pinches of salt. We'll cook this for about 5 to 6 minutes until the leeks start to have a golden brown color. Next up, we'll add the pecans and toast that for just about 1 to 2 minutes. And I'm adding in just about a teaspoon of fresh chopped sage. Once all of that is cooked, we can mix all of the filling ingredients together. We'll start with the quinoa, then add in the diced apple, sauteed veggies and pecans, more fresh lemon juice from half a lemon, a 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan, black pepper to taste, and a can of white beans for protein. Mix all of that together and add a cup of filling to each squash. Top with a bunch more Parmesan, as much as you please, and return it to the oven for just a few minutes until the cheese is melted and golden and bubbly. Time to take a bite. The skin is so soft, it's easy to just tear apart with your fork, which is just what I wanted. It's best if you get a bite with every little piece so you can truly enjoy the flavor. Wow. Tastes like Thanksgiving. I love the sweetness of the apple paired with the richness of the leeks. You're gonna like this one. The full recipe, instructions, ingredients list is on my blog at cozypeachkitchen.com. That is linked down below. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. That's how I know to make more videos like this. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. There's a little button down below in this corner. Maybe this corner. One of these corners. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week with more fall recipes.